Good evening. This is the Town of Barnstable Waterways Committee for Tuesday, September the 23rd, 2025. We have committee members Greg Egan, Gary Schramik, Jacob Angelo, and myself, Paul Everson, present. For the Town of Barnstable, we have Harbor Master Brian Taylor, Deputy Harbor Master Jay Horn, and Administrative Assistant Polly Plachinsky. Before we get going on the meeting, I must advise that tonight's meeting is being recorded and broadcast on Channel 18 and in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20. I must inquire if anyone is taping this meeting, and if so, please make their presence known to the chair. All right, hearing none, we'll get going with our agenda. First up, we'll act on the minutes from August 26th of 2025. Has everybody had a chance to review those? And if so, I'll entertain a motion to accept as written or entertain any
Make a
amendment.
motion. I'll make a motion to approve the August 26, 2025 minutes as presented.
Okay, thanks, Greg.
I'll second that.
All right, thanks, Jacob. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Next up, we have notices of intent. First one up is 48 Starboard LLC. This is continued from August the 26th. Project location is 48 Starboard Lane in Osterville, map 185, parcel 001. Representing the project is John O'Day from Sullivan Engineering. The proposed project is to replace existing pier and boathouse with a proposed addition of a ramp and float. Mr.
Good evening, John O'Day from Sullivan Engineering Consulting, representing the applicant. The offices started sharing an aerial here to give you an idea of where we're looking at. So it's 48 Starboard Lane, existing boathouse structure there just to the left of his mouse clicker. And we are proposing to reconstruct that structure in its footprint, and we're proposing to attach a ramp and float. The plans that had originally been submitted extended that ramp and float out perpendicular to shore. We received some feedback from the abutters, and we went out there and we did some additional soundings heading south. So we have rotated this structure so that it parallels the shoreline, runs perpendicular to the existing pier. You should have that plan, or I'd be happy to share it from my screen if you'd like.
Yeah. Jay, do you have
There you
that?
go.
Okay, thank you.
So that's a 8x16 float, non-motorized, where the inside of it's like 6 feet off the marsh, so the outside of it's 6 + 8. I hope we don't have any navigational issues with that.
How much water do you have underneath the float?
We're right around 1.8 to 2 feet at low tide, low water.
Okay. And the question is, how far out or could you zoom back out, Jay? I think the last proposal, we discussed it last month. I'm glad to see that this is amended to not reach straight out, but to parallel it. And if you can comment as to the width of the river there.
So that to the marsh on the opposite side is showing 242 feet. We had water depths of -2 plus or minus extending 68 plus feet from the outside of that float. And it doesn't seem to get any significantly deeper anywhere in this stretch. There's that little sandbar just to our north. I had thought that maybe the majority of the world ran along the east side of it, but the neighbors pointed out that at least they run along the west, and that's why it was important to them that we look at rotating this, and we have.
Okay, thank you. For the Harbor Master's Department, do you have a comment on this?
Yes, sir. Jay Horn, mooring officer. We did a site visit after the last Waterways Committee meeting. In the photos that I'm showing, unfortunately, it wasn't staked off for the revised plans. This is the stake that represents the old proposal. I really like what O'Day did here. If we go back to the original plans, or excuse me, the revised plans, you can see that it's really not extending out any further than the original footprint. So with the plans that are presented tonight, Harbor Master Department doesn't have any navigational concerns at this time.
Okay, thank you, Jay. And when you did a site visit, that little island out there, as it kind of splits the river, did you go on both sides of the river and kind of go up?
So the east side is very shallow. The main channel, if we go back to the GIS overview,
Yeah, yeah.
this is very skinny water. The main navigation occurs here on the west side of the Bumps River. Even with the original proposed plan, there was some room to get around there. It wasn't ideal. And that's why I'm in favor of the revised plans that were presented tonight.
Okay, thank you. Comments from committee members?
I think the revised plans are pretty acceptable.
Okay, thank you, Jacob. And again, this is going to be a non-motorized dock, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
And there's stops on it to prevent the float from sitting on the bottom, like I heard at the Shellfish Committee, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's hard to say no. If there's no boat and it's never gonna sit on the bottom and it's not in the way of the water navigation. One thing I do want to just point out, if you guys can go back to like the satellite imaging, which isn't really pertaining to this applicant, but just something that maybe for public information. If you look at this sandbar, just so you know, just for anybody's sake, you can actually see it's going to build to the west. It's taking off from the right, and eventually the currents aren't as strong as they are in Barnstable Harbor, but I watch the channels there change very frequently, and you can actually see it. It's going to probably eventually, over the next maybe a decade, it's going to predominantly favor the east side of that, just for anyone watching or anyone that cares about low inside information. So, but the project itself, no problem.
Okay, any other comments from committee members? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I have a question, Mr. Everson.
Yes,
Mr. O'Day, so if they're not permitting a vessel to this project,
That's correct.
okay. So are they going to state that in the Chapter 91 license that there'll be no vessel permitted on this dock?
It will be conditioned in the order of conditions from conservation.
Okay. All right, thank you.
all right. Any other questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve this as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve this project as presented.
Okay, Jacob, thank you. Second,
Second, this is Greg.
Thanks, Greg. All in favor? So we have Jacob, aye, myself, aye,
Aye.
Gary, aye, Greg, aye. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you. Next we have, read it off this one here. Applicant Steve and Wendy D'Angelo, continued from 7/22 of 2025. Applicant requested to move this matter to the October meeting due to representative being away for the month. The project is located at 108 Long Beach Road in Centerville and represented by Dan Ojala, Down Cape Engineering. The proposed fixed pier, ramp, and floats. Do we have Mr. Ojala? Yeah.
Well, Paul, doesn't it say they want to go to October?
Yes,
With
Mr.
this-
Chairman, this is being deferred
Oh.
this month.
Okay, I may have misread something here. Yeah, this was continued from 7/22. Yes, the applicant has requested to move the matter to October due to the representative being away. Okay, anybody have a problem with moving that to October?
We're still waiting for the revised plans for that. We asked them to come back with a smaller proposal, and that's what we're still waiting on.
Okay, thank you. So we'll move that to October. Mooring appeals, we have RP/130, change of vessel request denied due to the vessel exceeding the guidelines for length overall up to 40 feet. Applicant Sue Murray on a 44.8-foot sailboat. Where would this be, Jay? The location?
So, yeah, again, Jay Horn, Mooring Officer, Town of Barnstable. Mrs. Murray put in a change of vessel request for a 44-foot sailboat. As we just read, we have a 40-foot guideline in the Katuah Town Dock mooring field. There are boats that have been grandfathered in that are larger than that. I want to accommodate as many of my permit holders as I can, but I have to stick to the guidelines, and I'm going to let the committee speak to this. In terms of physical space, I have a couple of locations that I've been holding on to for bigger boats. I just went through my whole mooring offerings for this year for the Katuah Town Dock area. I didn't have any very large vessels this year. I think 35 foot was the biggest applicant for 2025. I have room for her down here in what we call the Hoopers area, which is still part of the Katuah Town Dock. We just have different designations. So there is room for a vessel this size here along the channel. And this has been reconfigured this year. One of these individuals did not renew. The other mooring was adjusted. I've been working with a couple of the licensed servicers on maximizing the space in all my mooring fields. So it could go on the corner down here for the.
Yeah, I don't think they can see
The
your
ropes.
screen, Jason. Sorry to cut you off. I don't think you can see your screen. I just see the agenda on there right now.
Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. A lot of tabs open right now. So again, sorry, this Hoopers area here, I have a spot for a vessel this size. And we did some cleaning up down here along the fairway. I had a vessel that didn't renew on the corner here, and this other mooring was adjusted. And, they went closer to the Katuah Town Dock. So I have two locations in theory for a vessel this size, but again, I'm going to let the committee members speak to that. And I do believe Mrs. Murray is here tonight as well if she wants to speak to the committee.
Yes, thank you very much. And thank you, Jay, first of all, for helping me through this process, and to the Waterways Committee for having me here today. So this mooring was originally my dad's mooring back from 1989 when they moved to West Barnstable. I grew up sailing in Katuah Bay and out on Nantucket Sound, and just absolutely love it in Katuah. My brother just had an opportunity where he was able to transfer the moorings to me. We have a 44-foot sailboat, and would be so honored and so happy to have it here. I spent my college summers, as head lifeguard and water safety instructor for the town of Barnstable and the Barnstable beaches. My mom is still in West Barnstable. Unfortunately, my dad's no longer with us, but it would just be absolutely fantastic. We visit Katuitt now a few times a year, and would be so honored if we had the opportunity to permanently call Katuitt our home.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, when was this boat acquired?
2020.
Okay, and where has it been?
It was in Marion, Mass, in Tippecanoe Harbor. Right now it's in Red Brook Harbor as
Okay,
of this year.
all right. So, Jay, I get it. So the RP is the ropes designation, and thanks for clarifying that. So it would be basically in the outer fairway.
That's correct. Yep.
Okay. Uh, okay. I don't think it's that big of a stretch. Other committee members, input on this one?
I have a question, if you don't mind.
Sure, go ahead, Jacob.
You said that you only come a couple times a year, Miss
So
Murray.
we come on our sailboat a few times a year. We don't have it in Katuitt. We go now and we anchor off of Sampson's when we're there. We absolutely love it there. We don't have a permanent mooring there, so we don't stay there permanently. If our boat was there, we're on our boat quite a bit. We will have the boat permanently in Katuitt. It won't be anywhere else except when we're out sailing and traveling.
How often do you think that you'll be like, do you live on the Cape, or is this an
Yeah,
easy?
so we're in Plymouth. My mom's in West Barnstable. We're on the Cape almost daily. We spend quite a bit of time on the boat, so we will be on the boat quite a bit in Katuitt. We absolutely love it there.
Okay.
And honestly, we'd be there more now, but I believe there's limitations on the number of nights that you can anchor in Katuitt. So we'll be thrilled to have a mooring there.
I just want to make sure that, like, if you're asking for this, that you're going to actually use it, and you're not just asking to store a boat that's, over the limit, and you're only going to use it a couple times a year. If you're going to be on it all the time, I'd love to see that, and that's what I'm looking for, or from my end at least. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't want to make an exception for some,
We're on
something
our
that's
boat all the time, and absolutely on our boat all the time. So
perfect.
and if it wasn't going to rain the next few days, we'd probably be doing this call from the boat now.
Yeah, no problem. I appreciate that. Thank you.
The only thing I want to add, Mr. Chairman, is because this would being moved, the RP 130 would be going to the outside of the fairway. I am going to be able to move another individual off the wait list into that original RP 130 location.
Okay, and did you say you kind of ran that list this summer?
Yeah, we're still doing mooring offerings right now. Although I have basically wrapped up the Katuitt Town Dock with the areas that I have available. And myself, a couple other servicers, we've been saving some big locations for our larger boats along this outer fairway where the deeper water is. And I just didn't have anyone close to this size that would make the most efficient use of this space.
And what is this boat replacing?
So this is a little complicated. This was a mooring transfer because her brother was offered a mooring in Katuitt, right? Did I get that right, Sue?
That's correct.
Mooring offering that led to her receiving this mooring through a mooring transfer. They permitted another appropriate sized vessel to it to be in compliance with that mooring transfer. And now they're requesting to put a bigger boat on the mooring, which again would require me to give her a new location, but also allow me to move another individual off the list into the old spot.
Okay. Thank you. Any other input from committee members? And if not, I'll entertain a motion to allow this mooring appeal.
Second.
Do we have a original motion?
I'll make the motion to approve this mooring appeal. It's okay.
Okay.
I do that all the time myself. So
Okay.
I'm
Thank
like
you.
second it.
notorious for it.
All right.
Notorious. So,
Thanks, Jacob and Gary, and all in favor, I'll say aye.
Aye.
Jacob is an aye.
aye.
Greg?
I would suggest, I know the motion's already made, but that the mooring should be in compliance with the harbor master specifications, obviously.
Yep. Okay, so that's approved. So Sue, just get in touch with the harbor master. Is there for Deputy Harbor Master Horn, is there a change in tackle involved in this?
There is, and I already received a promise to build from her licensed servicer that would put the tackle in compliance with the size of her vessel. So the office has already received that.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. That's
Thank
approved.
you so much. I really appreciate it. We're so excited to be in Katuitt next year. So thank you so much.
Call me
welcome.
tomorrow,
Thank-
Sue.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nothing under old business, new business. We have the Marina Fee Proposal Phase 2. Harbor Master Taylor.
Good evening, Brian Taylor, Harbor Master. Can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Yes.
So in front of you here is the proposed fee changes for calendar year 2026. Believe it or not, it's upcoming. Last year we went through, actually more than last year, about 2 years ago, we started the process of looking at the marina fees. We held various Waterways Committee meetings discussing the subjects of increasing the fees. I held multiple town meetings as well in person with my respective slip holders, talking about the increase in fees. As you all remember, we agreed upon a phased approach over the next 3 years, increasing the fees specifically for Barnstable Harbor and Gateway to try to get them in line with the other marinas. In front of you, you will see a $5 increase per foot in season and off season for Barnstable Harbor and Gateway. Currently, we are at $190 a foot at Bismore, and Prince Cove's $180. You also see an increase of 25 cents per foot per day for transient dockage to $3.50. Justification: marina debt is projected to increase approximately $300,000 a year with projected capital improvement costs in the near future. This number can change based upon funding provided from final cost estimates, changing in plans, or anything like that. Grants: we have applied for a Seaport Economic Grant for the maximum amount at Bismore, and cash reserves used. FY25 revenue came in around just over $1 million, with a surplus of approximately $200,000 compared to budgeted expenses. The phased approach to increase fees was set for a 3-year increase. This is year 2 of the 3-year increase. Projected average increase across the board is $100 per slip. So basically, increase will be $100 per slip for the cost of the season. The increase in revenue is projected around $10,000 for slip revenue. Transient revenue increase depends on usage and has been level, even with the 25-cent increase from last year. This phased approach request was supported by Waterways. Decreases in operating budget may need to occur in the next couple of years to offset the costs in the future due to the additional debt services we are projected to have. Any questions?
No, this is, as you said, the phase 2 of what, if everybody remembers the meeting at Town Hall when it was proposed that to be implemented into a phased in. So timing wise, you have to have this to the town manager by when?
This year, I need to have it to the town manager by the 15th. I will put it on the next Waterways Committee with that I've submitted it to the town manager on the 15th. The town manager then has a fee hearing on any calendar year fees that are going to occur. And historically, he has opened up a comment period for approximately 30 days for the public to comment on, or any of the users of the facility. And then he makes a decision based upon the comments and internal conversations.
Okay, thank you. Any questions by committee members?
I have a question.
Sure, go ahead, Jacob.
Um, I see that like there's a minimum requirement for these slips. I wonder if like if you just had to pay the full price for the slip, like like if you have a 17-foot boat in a 24-foot slip or whatever, you know what I'm saying? I know that it says 21-foot minimum, but it would that help?
So currently, we charge a minimum, that's the minimum amount, so the base rate that we're gonna get. So for example, I can show you here on the screen.
It
If
just
you,
seems unfair that if you have the same slip next to your neighbor and it's a 17-foot boat and a 21-foot boat, that you're getting charged a different rate for that slip. And
that's
that's
correct, because you're getting charged the rate for the slip that's available. So that slip holder that's next to you would pay the 21-foot minimum, even though he has a 17-foot boat. You're correct.
but if you have a 23-foot boat, you have to pay an extra 2 feet.
That's correct.
So why, if the slip's max is 24 feet, why not just make it the price for the slip? And you can put a 24 to whatever you can put a kayak in there if you really wanted to.
I mean, we went back and forth over like a year period on how to exactly charge the slips accordingly. We had a minimum before, we adjusted the minimum to basically have a fee per slip, like the bare minimum we're gonna get. And this is kind of the minimums and the number that I came up with and presented to Waterways last time. I mean, that question was basically asked like, why don't we just charge a per slip cost, right? Right across the board.
Yeah.
You could do that. That's just not how we submitted this fee schedule or fee proposal.
Did you say that you guys were like $300,000 in debt for the slips? Is that
No, so right now, so again, we're not in debt anywhere. Marina Enterprise Program is very healthy. We've made actually $200,000 additional in revenue. I can stop sharing my
Sorry,
screen.
I thought 300 something thousand dollars or something, and like in was it debt or was it
So,
liabilities?
so due to projected capital improvement costs coming in the near future, Bismore being one of them, two being Prince Cove, we're doing some capital improvement costs at those facilities. Due to projected increases in capital improvement costs, we're projecting the budget is going to have a debt for those projects because we pull a note for those projects over a 20-year term. We're projecting somewhere in there that we're going to have to pay additional $300,000 a year towards a loan in the near future here.
$300,000, and then what about capital improvement for Prince Cove? Not to go off on another tangent, is that
No,
been
so that takes that into account as well, Jacob.
Oh, not oh, sorry, not the two-town dock. I'm sorry.
So, yep. So, good question. Originally, we had these kind of questions. So, the Marina Enterprise Program, which is four marinas, Bismarck, Gateway,
Oh
Barnstable
yeah.
Harbor, Prince Cove, they're all self-sufficient. They're not funded by taxpayer money. Town Dock would be a general fund program, capital improvement project. So, the Marina Enterprise account actually is self-sustaining. It has its own account set up for to use money for. Right now, like I said, we have about $1.8 million in that account. So we have our regular operating budget. We have our regular revenue that comes in. Anything above and over goes into that savings account, and we can use that money towards capital improvement projects to help offset the budget if needed. One year, the bulkhead broke in Barnstable Harbor, and they had an offset because they couldn't put the slip holders in, so they had to offset the budget. But with taking that into account, we do have four facilities that we need to maintain, and those four facilities that we maintain are paid for by this enterprise account, which are the users that pay for accessing the facility.
Oh, now it's very clear to me. I understand. And then real quick, right back to like the price of the slips. I'm not trying to put somebody out that has a 17-foot whaler and then gets a bigger boat, but then also at the same time why penalize the guy on the other end that has a 23-foot boat in the minimum is 21 feet? Like, why not just make it a flat fee at 21 feet? If like your minimum requirement is 21 feet in that at that price and you put a boat in there and that works for you guys, then like let's just, and you guys are making money off of it and everything. So just let's, and it just seems like kind of unfair. Like if like you're allowed this many feet per boat in the slip, but you got a smaller boat next to the bigger boat. I just, that from my
Because
perspective.
basically, we're looking at the space that's available within the slip. That's how we wanted to handle this situation. In Barnstable Harbor's instance, we kind of break it down in four different sections. The four different sections you see above here, which is slips 1 through 34, 35 through 53, 54 through 70, and the small craft. With that being said, each location basically has a different square footage that's available for space in those locations. That's why you see the tapered price that goes across the screen here in 54 through 70. There's
But
a
as far as the
small,
minimum, as far as
yeah,
the minimum, the 21 foot, like why not just charge everybody in whatever the minimum is? Why not just charge everybody the minimum or everybody the maximum? That's what I guess where's the thought? Like if you have a bigger boat, you can afford, if your boat's 2 or 3 feet bigger, you can just pay an extra 300 or
I,
$400 a year,
I don't,
or
that wasn't the intent when we discussed this when we were planning it. It was trying to find the most equitable path that we could raise these fees to get them on par with private marinas. And
yeah,
I'm not discrediting your thought process, but we had to pick something that would go in front of the town, and this is the path that we went. Unfortunately, as far as I'm under the understanding, we're already gone down this path and we already made this decision and we already committed to it.
sure, yeah.
Possibly in the future we can revisit it and revise it, but this is what we went with, and this is what we chose to move forward with. So although I appreciate the opinion and I see some validity
No,
in
this is
it,
not, no,
at this
you're
point in
answering my
time
question.
for the
You're,
increase in the fee schedule, we're
yeah.
there.
That you're answering my question, and that's what I was looking for. I was just trying to understand where it came from, where the thought process,
Yep.
and that's perfect. Thank you very much, Todd. I appreciate it.
Harbor
yeah,
Master Taylor, different slips have different amount of commodities, right? Like water and electric. There's reasons why we have different rates, in particular Barnstable Harbor.
in particular Barnstable Harbor, there are of different slips that have different amenities. That's correct. Yes, sir.
But at a lot of others, if you're talking about, I'm talking about specifically like, a couple foot difference. It's not gonna really, in my eyes, like make, but Todd answered my question. I'm just curious, like I'm gonna say, I'll say many times, this is my first year on the committee. Have very little experience on this committee. And I'm just trying to, learn, a little bit more about how things came to be and why things are. I'm not really trying to really rock everybody and shake everything up. I'm just trying to understand so that I have a better idea of, how to move forward and what's going on, you know what I mean?
I
Thank you.
I struggled with the same process, Jake, and what it comes down to is there are so many layers of this. Is when we're trying to assist and plan, we when we come to a decision, it's not an immediate effect. I mean, this discussion was on the table for, as far as I remember, a couple of years, and we finally had to get to a point that we could make a proposal that was acceptable to the general public, and then move forward with it. And we only have this opportunity on a limited basis. So I'm all for the change. I agree with the change. I personally agreed with this fee increase because it was long overdue. And now that the harbor master's office is, they've been very, very progressive in making these changes, the opportunity exists in the future, but it's a conversation that we can certainly start now, but it's to affect change a few years from now, unfortunately. But it's just how it works, and this is what we came up with starting a couple of years ago, and so far it seems pretty good. And as we all continue to put our heads together, we'll continue to make changes to benefit the town.
No, no, yeah, no, I appreciate all that. I'm not even trying to change anything right now. I'm just like trying to get a better understanding. And thank you very much for everybody. And this is very helpful. And I think I'd like to make a motion to approve these fee changes as written.
Um, for Harbor Master Taylor, do you need this motion from us on this, or is this more of an advisory?
I don't believe I need a motion just to support. If you want to do a motion, it can't hurt. I don't know if Mr. Shramick had something to say. I saw him come on here, so.
Well, the thing is, I was just gonna, some more information for Jacob was, I actually measured and calculated the square foot of every slip in Barnstable Harbor. And there's not one that is consistent. We did an average of that when I submitted that to Brian.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, more like Rubik Cube, huh?
Yeah.
Everything's different.
I will say, I foresee in the future us having this conversation well into my career here, because we're going to have to look at expenditures versus, what we're bringing in. Unlike, a sandwich marina that has one facility and almost 200 slips and the revenue that they have, we have four separate facilities with less than 200 slips, and we need to maintain those four separate facilities. It's important to note that we don't charge private marina rates. But when we go to get work done, they don't charge us less because we're a municipality. These projects, these capital improvement projects, are expensive, and we need to prepare for them. And my job is to hopefully prepare for them in advance so we can operate our budget. Like I said, even with trying to prepare in advance, I still may need to make some budget cuts on my end as far as operation goes, as far as personnel goes, in order to accommodate some of the debt that I'm going to have to take on to pay for these projects because, coastal marine projects are very expensive.
Okay, thank you. Jacob, so I guess we don't need a motion on this, and more of the informational from the harbor master, just of how this plan is going now that we're into phase two. But thank
Yeah, I
you.
mean, Mr. Everson, I know the town manager does ask if the Waterways Committee supports it, so maybe it would make sense to do it, or at least say if you support it or you
Okay.
don't, because he usually does ask me that because he wants to know.
All right, so we
Mr.
will-
Chairman, Paul, hey, this
Yes.
is Greg. Like, we've already endorsed this, right? To
Yes.
Todd's point.
Yes. Yeah.
Multiple times we were in on the crafting of it in the public workshops and things like that. So, I was confused on the agenda item of the marina fee proposal. What that meant.
Yeah, so sorry to cut you off, Mr. Stringer. Because it's a calendar year fee and because it's a change to the fee, I still have to go every single year and put that proposal of a fee change in, even though we
Gotcha.
said it was the phased approach. That's why it's here.
Thank you.
Okay, so maybe Jacob, you can have a motion for continuing support of the harbor master fee proposal program.
I'd like to make a motion for continuing support of the harbor master fee program.
Okay, and a second.
I'll second.
Thanks, Gary. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Next, we have correspondence. In reading through these, it looks like two of them have to do with Hyannis Harbor and one is for Barnstable. So let's take them out of order. Let's go to the Barnstable Harbor first. Request to modify current Barnstable Harbor regulations to allow for commercial slips. Jeff Kadish, Aquarius Sport Fishing, is the correspondence. We have Mr. Kadish.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes. Go ahead, sir. Why don't you
Sure. Thank you.
tell us what
Thank
you're
you.
thinking about this?
Sure. My name is Jeff Kadish. I own and operate the charter boat, the Aquarius, with my partner, Brian Moulton, who's here with me tonight. I want to first thank and commend Brian Taylor, Jay Horn, and their entire staff for another season for a job well done. We truly appreciate what you guys and your staffs are doing and have done. I presented a request approximately 1 year ago to this committee regarding the modification of the current Barnstable Harbor regulations relevant to the designation of commercial slips. I'm here tonight to revitalize that request. Barnstable Harbor is currently the only harbor in Cape Cod Bay without commercial slips. Sandwich has them, Sassuat Harbor and Dennis has them, Rock Harbor has them with a very significant prominence of charter boats. Wellfleet and Provincetown all have commercial slips. Barnstable does not. I've been involved in the charter boat business out of Barnstable Harbor for over 50 years. I can remember when there were approximately 10 charter boats operating out of Barnstable. This past season, there were 4 of us, and one was recently sold, and I'm not sure if it's going to be replaced with another charter boat. We're down to 3 charter boats. 2 of us are in our mid to late 70s. I believe we're at the tipping point of losing the entire charter boat fleet in Barnstable. Charter fishing boats have historically been an integral part of Barnstable Harbor. We provide a very positive economic impact on the local economy. There are studies supporting the metrics of the multiplier effect that boats for hire have on local businesses. I have 2 recommendations in the best interest of preserving the perpetuation of the charter fleet in Barnstable. 1, the designation of a certain number of slips to be allocated for commercial boats. Or 2, because we're at such a critical time of losing the entire charter boat fleet, please consider what Rock Harbor has done, which is with the sale of a charter boat, the acquisition of the slip goes to the new owner, as long as the perpetuation of the business is ongoing. This can be accomplished through the presentation of a business plan specifying a minimum number of charters and the execution of a comprehensive marketing plan. I hope this committee recognizes the crucial time of preserving the charter boat industry in Barnstable Harbor and consider this request favorably. Thank you.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. For the harbor master, how do you proceed on basically when one charter boat leaves and another one would come in or somebody take over? How do you go past a wait list? You must have a pretty substantial wait list, correct, for Barnstable Harbor?
Yeah, it's Brian Taylor, Harbor Master. Mr. Kadish, I appreciate you coming in tonight to speak to this. I am in support of keeping these charter fishing vessels in Barnstable Harbor. I want to say that first and foremost, because if we go by how we're operating right now, if I was to answer your question, Mr. Everson, if I was to offer a slip, I need to go by the existing wait list that I have. And that existing wait list, off the top of my head, I want to say there's 30, close to 30 names. I have to go one by one through there. And just by luck, I may pull someone from that wait list that is interested in having a charter fishing vessel in their slip. But more likely than not, that slip's going to turn over to recreational boat. So right now, to answer your question, there isn't a means to fill this location. There's multiple different avenues. The Sandwich has certain spots that go out to lease on an annual basis, or I think it could be a biannual basis. I'm not really interested in that avenue because basically you're paying your way to get in, and we have an existing wait list. What we've been talking about internally is, would the state allow us to have, or I'm not even sure if the state needs to give us jurisdiction to do so at this point, but could we have another wait list within an existing wait list location? Let's say we had 30 people on the list and we wanted to create a new wait list for charter fishing vessels. Could we reach out to those 30 people that are on the list and say, are any of you interested in having a charter fishing boat here. If you are, we're interested in creating a separate wait list for these 5 spots. And if not, I didn't pass them. I offered them to get on a separate wait list. If they are interested, we could put them on the new wait list and then create basically a separate wait list within an existing wait list, but only for these 5 spots, only for the charter fishing boats. We'd have to draw up some pretty strict plans on how we're going to get from point A to point B. How are they going to submit paperwork, proof of ownership? How are they going to submit paperwork, proof of what they actually are doing in order to stay on the wait list and then be offered a spot? Are there size restrictions? The other way, like I said, would be probably to go out to a slip lease to have specific locations for commercial fishing vessels, but it wouldn't just be charter fishing vessels at that point unless we spelled it out like that. So it's pretty in depth, but I can tell you I do support taking a look at this at this point in time. We've talked internally about it for a year. I think we're all on the same page here in the Harbor Master Division that we want to pursue this. But what avenue we need to go to? We're starting with legal, with the town's legal department to find out, like, do we need to contact the state? Is this plan of process okay? Then we'd probably have to reach out to the existing wait list holders, have a workshop, talk about it, present it just like we did with the slip fees, and really come up with a game plan for how to keep. At this point, we're looking at 5 locations. How to keep these 5 locations in operation as a charter fishing vessels only.
Okay, I think that's a good approach. See if it's feasible if we can just do that. Gary, you must have an opinion on this.
Well, I'm definitely in favor of it.
Okay. Any other committee members want to comment on this? I think that's
I'd like to say something about it, if you don't mind.
go ahead.
So we had a discussion back in the winter time about it was like some mooring discussion or something, and I basically brought up how I wanted to discuss commercial moorings for commercial fishermen and aquaculturists in the town. And Gary suggested that, I put a list of things together and all that. And we basically got into the summer, or the spring, the summer, and the fall. And it was kind of on my plan to get something put together for the commercial fishermen and the aquaculturists because we're going to have time throughout the winter to discuss it. And this kind of, in my opinion, falls into it a little bit as a business that has been around, that as a business on the water. It's very, very difficult. Like you can't just find anyone could maybe pay the money to buy a plumbing business or electrician, but you can't just get a slip for a boat. You just can't. You just can't get a mooring for a boat. It's just the hardest part about the business in general. So, in all these businesses, whether you're oyster farming or commercial fishing or you're charter fishing, they all really are a part of what we are here on Cape Cod. The one problem, when you think about like what I've thought about, what I've talked about with other people, is that when you get into who would qualify for these commercial slips or these commercial moorings, the easiest thing, right off the bat is, first of all, people that are in a fishery in this town as a shell fisherman or an aquaculturist that have to have residence in this town to have that license. They, in my opinion, have the most importance because they can't live in Sandwich, they can't live in Yarmouth, and then the other people then would under that would just be, maybe like not that they're separate or anything, but like a limited entry fishery where you actually had to pay your license, no one else can just go apply for from the state. Then where the gray area, if you have a commercial license, a commercial slip or a commercial mooring, and you just want to say, hey, I got a commercial business. Well, I guess the problem, nothing against the people in Barnstable Harbor, those businesses have been around forever, but anybody can go get a charter captain license permit. You can go get a license and you can go get a charter business. It's open entry. Anyone can do it. Anyone with money has a private captain, and can get that for hire permit. Also, along with like, scup, tuna, striped bass. There's a lot of commercial fishing permits that are just open entry. You can go spend $100, $200 at the state and just get that permit. So I guess when it comes down to it, like I want to support these Barnstable Harbor charter fishermen. They're an integral part of our culture here. They do the multiplier thing. I was talking about it earlier. I saw this on the agenda. I was talking to somebody, the multiplier thing. It's like, there are families that like plan their trip around going on these charter boats here on Cape Cod. They come down, they rent a house, they go out to eat, they go buy some tackle at the local fishing store. They might go fish at the beach a little bit, and then they go on the charter. They do it every summer. So I I don't know if you gotta, to I'm very in support of, passing businesses, allowing businesses continue, but you know, just somebody with money could just come say, oh, I'll buy that business. And then next thing you know, it's their private yacht in there and it has a charter business on that boat, and they aren't running charters and they're not actually contributing to the society. And so I guess I, I guess if I had to conclude it all, I think that his requests are valid, but I really think that like we should have a really good discussion about this, maybe several good discussions about this, and how do we, make sure that it doesn't go sideways.
Well, I think as the harbor master said, if he can develop some sort of a plan, first of all, can we do it after checking with legal, checking with the state, having some parameters, not, if someone has a business, an LLC, if they have established charter fishing business, not just somebody calling themselves a charter fisherman, like you say, with a private boat. So there has to be some guardrails on this. So
Tax returns, maybe even, at that,
yeah,
if
whatever the documentation that
but
would
if you're
need to
not,
be, but
yeah.
um, so any other members want to comment? I don't think we have anything to make a motion on here, but would be in support of continuing the heritage.
Well, yeah,
I
I just want to make one comment around Jeff's proposal. There are times when they have some large parties, and we don't have enough charter boats in our harbor, and so they have to contract with other harbors or charter boats from other harbors to help support the business that's in Barnstable Harbor. Just as a comment.
Okay, thanks, Gary.
Yeah, and like I said, I do support this venue and going down this road. I do have to be fair and equitable to all, though, and we have a wait list. So I need to make sure that in order to be fair and equitable, we outreach to those waitlist individuals and come up with a plan to figure out how we would keep these five slips as charter fishing boats again. So even though I support this and I want to see this move forward, I still have a job to do, and that is I need to make sure everybody across the board is treated fair and equitably, and that's the people that are currently on the wait list.
Yep.
All right, thank you. And thank you, Mr. Kadish. Moving on, we have a recommendation on implementing surveillance to aid in monitoring in Hyannis Harbor. Correspondence from Moose Nuri and Kai Mathers.
Just if we could, Mr. Everson, I know Mr. Kadish is still on here. I just don't want to leave this out in the air. I think what we'll do here is we'll keep this on, if you're okay with it, Chairman Everson. We'll keep this on here, not as a correspondence from Mr. Kadish, but talking about this for the next few months as I navigate through some of these questions that we have, so we can keep this up front, okay?
Absolutely.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Thank you. Paul, thank you. Committee.
Okay. Did I see Mr. Mathers?
Yeah, Kai Mathis is my name. Can you hear me?
Mathis. Yes, go ahead, sir.
All right, thank you so much for inviting me to this meeting. And first of all, I wanted to thank the harbor masters, Brian, Tyler, and Jay for meeting with us, listening to us, corresponding with us about this issue. The concern that we have brought up is that there's a significant amount of boats going above no wake speed here in Lewis Bay, especially in the Fish Hills, which is a bottleneck area where when the boats go too fast, it emits a large tidal wave that affects all the residents here in Lewis Bay. Dr. Noor and I, we have a waterfront property with a dock, and we have our boats there. We have a family there that uses the dock, that goes out on the boat, that goes out on kayaks, on stand-up paddle boards. And so we're very concerned about the safety of our children when we're exposed to these large tidal waves by the ferries. And because of the significant help of the harbor masters, we have accomplished a much better compliance with the no wake speed with the larger commercial ferries. But there's still like a significant amount of commercial fishing boats and private boats that go above the no wake speed. And even though they tried to mitigate the speed limit by being present in the harbor, they can't be there all day, and it would not be a good use of their time to be there and monitor the speed limit. And so it's kind of impossible to have someone there all day to monitor the speed. I see the vessels kind of slow down when the harbor master is there, but as soon as they leave the harbor, they speed up again and go back to significant speeds. Just yesterday, there was one boat that was going full plane in the harbor. I sent that video to Tyler to show him that there's just no compliance there with the speed limit. So my suggestion was that if there's any way to install some monitoring system like a radar or so that monitors the speeds, takes a picture, and then issues a fine. And I hope that this would accomplish a better compliance of the boaters in the area. Maybe Dr. Noria has a few words to say as well. Moose,
Hi there. Good evening, Moose Nori. Thanks for having us and allowing us to kind of just voice any concerns. I don't really have much to add to what Kai said. I think he kind of covered everything, really. It's more of just, I mean, besides kind of direct and indirect damage to docks, it's really more of a safety concern just because, it's the tightest area of that main waterway. It can get pretty congested between the ferries going out every half hour to hour, and then multiple vessels coming in and out of the harbor. So it's been suggested as far as there's a lot of different ways to kind of monitor the speed, and it's offloading the harbor masters who have again been instrumental in controlling some of the larger commercial ferries, but I know that in other areas and harbors, they use a LiDAR, either fixed or kind of through a smart buoy, but those are all kind of options that seem to have mitigated problems similar to this.
Okay, thank you. For the harbor master, how much have you seen of, I'm quite familiar with this little stretch here. And one of the big problems is when the ferries do go through, they're different in how much they displace. And that wake will really bend the water in front. I mean, you can have a 2 to 3 foot wake just from the displacement. Granted, speed is also involved in it, but are we talking primarily from just the lighthouse out to the point there is the problem area?
Yeah, I mean,
Correct.
this is a bottleneck location, this location in itself with existing properties in Fish Hills. And as you can see here in the map, you have two ferry terminals in this location, 75 commercial boats coming out of Bismore, Hyannis Marina, and a number of other private entities that operate on the waterfront. It's just a very busy harbor, and it's a bottleneck location here.
But do you find the speed the
speed can
problem, or is it the displacement the problem,
I mean,
the combination?
speed definitely impacts the displacement for sure. I
Right.
mean, there's displacement no matter what, right? There is, but a couple knots will impact the what we've seen from what we've seen, especially over our close monitoring the last year. A few knots will impact the severity of the displacement. They're correct. We've definitely noticed that. Regardless, you're going to get displacement. Regardless, you're going to get some water moving in and out of here, with it being a bottleneck location.
Have you been in touch with Highline and?
So Highline and Steamship were both present at the meeting. We had with Mr. Matthews and a number of residents at Fish Hills. They were both present at the meeting. We invited them. They showed up. We had good conversation with everybody. Obviously, there's some navigation in here in maritime law that comes into effect with restricting the maneuverability, needing to maneuver out of the channel, being a bottleneck location, not wanting to meet the ferries in certain locations. So there is some navigation here with maritime law that comes into play. But like they're saying, it's not just the steamship and Highline. It's really just the activity in this area and the frequency of the speeding. I kind of, when we met, communicated how you would, have a main street in front of your home. The speed limit's posted. People are speeding by there. You complain to the police department. They post up on location. They slow down. Same thing happens here. It's even more impactful because these vessels are moored on their docks and they're getting impacted by the wakes. That's what's occurring.
Just wanted to ask
Okay.
if Debbie was here because she's also in the correspondence. It's a similar matter. Maybe if we hear her speak, then we could.
Yeah, I think she had trouble getting into the breakout room.
Okay.
But yeah, she owns the dock there in front of her house, and she's seen some significant damage on her dock, resulting into cost of repairing the dock. For our dock, I've seen the same, like cleats coming loose, cleats pulling out of the boat, the rub rail on my boat coming off. I just see significant damage. And to your point, Mr. Egan, the displacement is something to consider, but we've seen the displacement of the ferries when they operate under no wake speed to be very controlled, very not much impact. But as soon as they go above no wake speed, like 6, 7, and sometimes we've seen 8 knots, then it's exponential. The tidal wave that is being emitted from the boat. So it's quite impressive to see that when they go too fast, what kind of impact it has on the docks. And I submitted videos to support that.
Okay, thank you for the harbor master. When was the meeting with Highline and Steamship?
It was earlier this summer, sir. We've
Yeah,
had a
with
couple.
July.
Yeah, and we've had a couple meetings. I followed up with both Steamship and the Highline. As Kai mentioned before, we can't be everywhere at once. We have 100 miles of coastline to patrol. With that being said, we gave this area a lot of attention this summer, and we increased patrols. We did early mornings. We did late nights, outside of our typical patrol schedule, which all of these ferries know. AIS is a big factor. When we get underway in our boat, we're transmitting a signal and a location. The commercial fishermen know this. The ferries know this. We get a lot of compliance when we're on the water. We get a lot of complaints when we're not there. One thing I did this year was reach out to outside agencies. As you guys know, Barnstable is very unique in the fact that the 2 closest Coast Guard stations are in Woods Hole and in Chatham, and we don't see a lot of support from them, a lot of presence from them in the summer, considering how busy of a harbor this is. So I spent weeks, literally months, emailing both Southeast Sector, the compliance officers involved in New England, to try to get some help from other agencies in this area, as well as the environmental police. We do have Station Chatham, who is now coming down here at least once a week and doing routine patrols. They're very short-staffed currently, and if they leave their AOR, they don't have another vessel that can respond to emergencies. So they're doing the best they can for us with what they have to work with. By next summer, I'm hoping to see Station Woods Hole here at least several times a week. The environmental police as well, state police. I've reached out for everyone to help because, again, we just don't have the staff or the budget to be there 24 hours a day. And we get a lot of complaints that are very early in the morning when the commercial fishermen are leaving, or very late at night when we're off the water. And just want to let this, community know that we are doing the best we can. I've met with both of them at their houses, and been on scene with them to see the damage that occurs. And we're hoping to find a little more support for 2026 moving forward.
The AIS, do we know
Yeah, so currently, a lot of individuals use the
Highline and steamship operate under AIS when they leave?
Yes, sir. Not a lot of the commercial fishing vessels as well operate under AIS. So a lot of individuals use the Marine AIS app that's on your phone. What we've actually done in-house is I've reached out to an AIS company. I currently have a what do you call it? A subscription to an AIS company right now that more live data, more up-to-date data. They've told me that they can install some temporary housing units, one at Bismore and potentially one at Calamus Beach, obviously for a cost, to get more up-to-date information. That way I can track the speed of vessels coming and going. I can basically draw a line across the water and track every single vessel that's running AIS, time stamped when they've come into the harbor, when they've left. So that's something that I've outreach to a outside AIS company. We have a trial period right now. We're working. We have the software. We look at it on a daily basis to try to compare that to the Marine AIS that you can get basically for free, to see if it's something we want to pay a subscription for, be a host community for that AIS data. Hopefully that can help us. But again, and realistically, for us to write citations, we need to witness. I know, Mr. Everson, you can kind of speak to this. We need to witness the incident in front of us. We'll frequent conversations with Steamship, Highline, certain vessels that we're tracking on AIS, hopefully curb or help curb the situation, I'm sure. But it's not going to stop everything. It's like speeding on the highway, speeding throughout the roads. You can post a speed limit. People are still going to not adhere to that speed limit. So hopefully that answers your AIS question.
Yeah, I mean, you can get a date and time stamp if it's a large enough vessel, and you can, I mean, obviously you'd want to know who's operating the vessel. I would say that the master of the vessel, if it's underway, is. So I'm looking at one that reported AIS, and it was on the 22nd at 6:38 p.m. going through that particular area, and that was so you could marry that up to potentially if there was any other damage done, but that's it's hard to do. What about webcams? Do we have a possibility of a webcam?
Yeah, just to clarify that, I'm not even sure if I can actually use that data to come down unless it's live and we're currently there. I'm not sure if I can use that data for law enforcement purposes. That's a whole nother conversation for legal. But
Yeah.
as far as cameras go, we submitted a CIP package last year. In conjunction with IT to hire a camera company on an annual basis to maintain our existing cameras and install new ones. This is one of the locations we were looking at. We did have an MOA with the hospital, and we had a maritime security camera on the hospital. However, they built a new building, and it is in, the camera that we had was in front of that building. That camera since has not working. Maintaining the maritime security cameras that we got through the federal government in a grant about 15 years ago has begun to be very difficult. It's a little bit too much for our IT department. That's why they partnered with us on a decision package. It was not supported. We're going to submit it again. If we were to get the decision package in a camera company that could support us, this would certainly be a location that we would look at.
Okay.
But to
Last thing I
install one-
wanted to add, Mr. Chairman, is that we did actually issue several citations this past month. Aside from the monetary value being a deterrent, what we found is that even these local bylaw tickets, state tickets can be submitted to the Coast Guard and their compliance office. And when that happens, that particular captain, whether it be a ferry captain or charter boat captain, those will come up when they go to renew their license. So we're hoping that that's going to be an effective tool moving forward and help try to get this situation under control.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, Jay's done a lot of research on the back end, and he really stuck his neck out trying to get the Coast Guard here, continued to push and push and push, and they did show up. We did have a conversation. They told us that information. They offered support. And so we're trying to hit the ground running in 2026, probably around squid season, to really try to get some support in this area.
Okay, thank you. Any other committee members want to comment on this?
I'll make a couple comments.
Yeah, go ahead, Jacob.
As far as the ferries go, especially the ones with the jet drives, the high-speed ferries, they don't have a rudder. So in order for them to maneuver at all, like a regular boat, if you you put it in neutral while you're underway, you can actually still steer. It's not really necessarily the case. You'll still have forward momentum, but you have no steerage. That's a problem with the ferries. Um, and then this area I would consider honestly the most heavily monitored area like on the Cape that I've ever seen. I mean, we have Yarmouth and Barnstable. We have police boats, fire boats, environmental police boats, multiple harbor master boats from this town, and I don't know what Yarmouth has, but they got at least one. Um, and I see them out there almost every time I'm out there. Yeah, I'm not out there, in the middle of the night, or I'm not always out there at 5 o'clock in the morning, but in these days at least. But I would say it's going to be very hard to enforce that. And it's just this extremely heavily trafficked area, so like Harbor Master Taylor said, you can't just write tickets based on pictures and video
Exactly.
in the AIS. So it's a very unfortunate situation, but I feel like, it's just kind of the nature of the area. I don't need to be like rude or
So
anything.
I'd have to respectfully disagree, just because this is done elsewhere with the, Dragon Eye LiDARs. And I mean, Mr. Everson's probably familiar with some of this stuff where, enforcement uses this. It's unfortunately the safety concerns and, the damage done doesn't just happen during the day. So, we've been here for over 10 years or plus. And so it is a significant concern. So, we understand it's a high, it's a very, navigable area, high traffic, but to kind of chalk it to that is going to be difficult for us to accept. Just, our kids are out there swimming, wading, boating, we're not going to be able to settle kind of at that, it's just the way that they have to navigate, because we can see the same ferry go out in the same exact conditions and navigate, above wake and then, below wake or at wake speed. So
Against the tide, when you go against the tide and you go against the wind, you're gonna you're gonna draw
Same
more.
exact conditions. Nope, same exact conditions. Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
We have
And
video. We have our own surveillance as well.
I think that the most powerful thing would be videos and pictures,
Well, we
because
have those.
I'm out there a
Yep.
lot, and I'm not saying that there isn't a little bit of wakes out there or anything, but I also don't see any kids playing on the beach every day out there either. I'm not exactly sure what house you are, but I'm out
Well,
there
we
quite a
live
bit.
there.
I
We
haven't
live
seen
there
any.
year round, so we can attest to that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
when
So
you're out there and you
some
don't see
pictures of some
my
damage.
7 and 9-year-old on the beach, that's one thing, but they're there often.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know, and they're not going to get washed away by a wake, but I'd like to see like some pictures or some.
Yeah, actually, when there's a monster tidal wave that goes across, I mean, we have video of this and we're happy to share it. But, I just want to be respectful that, we're not making up. This isn't a 1 foot little tidal wave that's, that's pulling that. These are waves that can pin kids in between docks. And I mean, it's
Yeah, if you
pretty
don't mind,
significant.
if the harbor master could go back to the satellite image, if you don't mind.
Jacob, you're not wrong in bringing up
No,
vessels.
no, no.
that
I just want to.
try to
say. I
draft.
just want to explain something because I don't think people really quite understand what's going on here. Do you see this image? Do you see the hard defined channel that goes into the inner harbor? Now, this place was very shallow, like 100 years. It wasn't. You didn't have a 20-foot channel going through here. Now, when there's no water in here, um and it's low tide, these boats they draw about I think 10 feet or more. I don't know exactly, but those especially the car carriers and stuff, they draw 10 maybe 15 feet, and they're skimming the bottom, believe it or not, on this thing. And they have a
Sure.
huge displacement. So those huge tidal waves, they're not coming from center consoles or sportfish boats. They're coming from a massive amount of displacement against current, against the flow. That's when you really get the what you're describing as the tidal waves. And it's a restricted ability to maneuver area, and it's very shallow and it needs to be dredged all the time. Just a little quick story. I was conch fishing in this area, and I said, "Oh wow, there's conch on the left side and there's conch on the right side. This is great. Let me put a trawl across the middle of this channel from one side to the other because it's going to be so great." Well, a ferry went by the next day and it was a minus tide and it sucked the entire trawl up. And I got a call from somebody who said, "Jake, your buoy's in the middle of the channel." I went out there, I found a floating buoy, and then I found another buoy with only one trap out of five because that thing sucked the entire trawl off the bottom and grinded it into pulp. Like, my mistake and everything. Never heard anything from the ferry company. It just ate it, and that was it. But that thing is displacing so much water and moving so much water that when you go through that bottleneck right there, especially at Fish Hills, you're gonna get, unfortunately, a tidal wave. It's just kind of like, if you don't like wakes, don't drive a boat. It's unfortunate, and I understand what you're saying, but
No,
I
I
just
have to
I can't
respectfully
imagine.
disagree. I have to
It's no,
respectfully disagree. I have videos of the ferries going at below no wake speed with
with
wind
no tidal wave. Yeah.
at low tide, at high tide.
With wind and with tide, no
No, finish my
problem.
sentence. Is it all right if I finish my
Yeah,
thought?
yeah.
So
Okay, we're
I have
not gonna, yeah,
I
go
have
ahead.
videos. I have videos of the ferry going at normal speed, not doing the displacement. I see the displacement, but there's no tidal wave. As soon as they go above no wake speed, like 7, 8 knots, then we see a significant dangerous tidal wave. So the speed of the ferry makes a significant difference. And to your comment about the navigation of the ferries at various conditions, so I've seen them going with a lot of wind and no wind at normal speed and high speed, and they can do it very well with wind at a respectable speed without a problem. So I've videos to show that. And then to the other point, when you say that our kids don't play on a dock, I mean, respectfully, you cannot say comment on what our kids do and what they don't do at a dock. And I mean, it's we live here and we see how our kids enjoy the beach and enjoy the dock. And so we see this as a safety hazard and would like to have it addressed.
Okay, are you able to copy some of those videos and forward them to the Harbor Master
We
Department?
have the videos, Mr. Chairman, and again,
You do.
I understand what Jacob is saying. I understand all about draft and displacement, low tide, high tide. I got to tell you that this neighborhood's not wrong, and we've recognized it. I saw the same ferry come through twice in one day. In the morning, it was a higher tide. They were right where this boat is now, and they were at 9 knots. And the waves through Fish Hills were crazy. There was damage to the docks. Cleats got ripped out of boats. It was absolutely crazy. And then I'm there talking to Mr. Mathis that afternoon. Same exact ferry came through. He was at 5 knots. It was at a low tide, and there wasn't a ripple in this entire area. So this community is right. If they operate at the right speed, regardless of the conditions, the the wake is extremely minimalized. And it's an issue. We recognize it, and we're doing something about it.
Is it one particular ferry company?
I don't want to go into details. The Highline
But is it the
doesn't produce
steamship?
the Highline doesn't produce the wake that the steamship does, right? They're
No, the
completely different
steamship is a
vessels.
problem.
Yeah,
It's been a problem. They
no
almost ran me
draft as
over
much.
in winter, so
But it's
then
not just the ferries.
this
We have a
like
lot of complaints from Debbie for the commercial fishermen coming in and out of there. So
no, I've had a lot of there's been a lot of problems with steamship. I've had personal problems. I have a video of them almost running me over coming into the breakwater past Calmus into Hyannis off of Calmus Beach, not the Hyannisport breakwater, but almost running me over, and you know, if this is a steamship obviously ran into the breakwater and just the other day I was out there and I agree, I was in the channel and I was going like 5.5 knots. I pushed up to 6 in a center console and I had the ferry behind me gaining speed. So if this is specifically a steamship thing, because I know captains at Highline who have told me all about the lady at Fish Hills who complains and complains and complains. Maybe this is just a steamship problem.
It's in everybody. It's not
yeah,
specific to. I mean, Jay's kind of nailed this on the head. I mean, he's been investigating the amount of time that this guy has put in. I mean, we can't thank him enough. I mean, he's just been an incredible advocate, and there couldn't be a better person for the job. I mean, he's gone above and beyond. I mean, he knows this area better than us who are there. He knows every wake.
I'm not hearing it.
And we just
up on us,
help this station. Okay, I don't know where I left off, but I mean, I basically that we can't thank enough. I mean, we couldn't have a better person, in this position, and we don't want to burn you out. I mean, you've gone so far above and beyond in just doing the research and investigating this that, I mean, it's almost impossible for one person to do this. I mean, every condition with every ferry and low tide, high tide. I mean, you understand that the conditions, if you're navigating, at the right speed, you can make it through that channel in that bottleneck area safely without having these, effects on the surrounding area.
What are you looking for the Waterways Committee for, to make, to vote on or whatever?
I think the only way to control this is with a permanent installation of a speed control mechanism, like a radar or some sort. There's no way the harbor masters can spend enough time to accomplish compliance. It has to be something that's permanently installed, and then
Existing
automatically.
the Dragon Eye LiDAR. I mean, if we can look into that. It's been proven and used in a lot of different harbors.
Okay, go ahead, Greg.
Yeah, hi. I've just been listening to this with some interest and, getting a little bit off track, just for going back up to 10,000 feet. I appreciate what these Fish Hill residents are saying. This is a port that's been here, a harbor that's been here before all of us. There's commercial entities, there's fishing boats, ferries. It's a large marina. There's just so much traffic. I'm not going to get into the hydraulics and all that stuff about low tide and high tide, but there's a lot of merit to that. I don't care what a video shows. I would not be in favor of trying to enforce or monitor our way out of this or some type of control. This is a bottleneck, as Jacob had described, as well as Brian Taylor. You're not going to be able to, none of us have the judgment of what the captain or the wheelman has on a large fishing boat when a recreational boat cuts in front of them, or when there's two ferry boats that happen to pass by each other, and the various winds, tides, and all of those things that can affect it. Should there be a safe speed? Of course there should be. But there's a lot of things that go into this that this committee, just can't set rules to prevent, because the reality is there's so many boats, there's so much traffic. It seems to me there's been a great effort to outreach to the ferry companies and to talk to them, as well as the commercial fishing boats and the marina. I think that communication should keep up, and we keep the general awareness effort to these vessel operators, but to somehow request constant surveillance, I would not be in favor of that.
And why not?
Well, okay, I think
I'd like to answer, if you don't mind. Math
ahead.
is just asked why not, which was leading into what I wanted to add to Mr. Egan, was that, we put this here, and then we're gonna have 4 of them on Oyster Harbors, and we're gonna need one in Pompanesett, and we're gonna need one in Barnstable Harbor, and then they're not. It's just they don't work. You can't force anything with it. It costs the taxpayer money, or somehow, whether it's a federal grant, at the end of the day, it's going to cost everybody some money. And I just think that it's a lot of effort for something that you really can't fix the problem with specifically, that's all.
I want to say this isn't an issue all over town, but we get speed complaints all over town. It's very rampant in Katuitt after hours. There's slow speed, no wake violations all over Barnstable. Everyone wants a slow speed, no wake buoy in their backyard. And I agree with Mr. Egan. I don't think that a watchtower system or a speed display system would do anything to correct this behavior.
I think you guys have done a phenomenal job in that area. And I'm not going to say it's perfect, but I do boat out of Hyannis. I'm out of there at least 3 or 4 days a week. And I really applaud the effort. I think you've done a phenomenal job. Your presence is felt by all of us who use that waterway. Mr. Egan is spot on. That's so far beyond our focus is to introduce LiDAR and radar. And is the area perfect? No, of course it's not. But we have so many other things to tackle ahead of that I appreciate the concerns. And I think any of us who use that waterway are aware of it, and would certainly hope that people would abide by the limits that are in place. But there's always a couple that break the rules, and hopefully in time, with all this presence, the effect is felt. But I think you're doing a great job where we're at, and we'll continue to police it and continue to watch it. And thankfully, we have those services in that port that add great value to our community. And it's even better that they're willing to sit down and participate in these meetings and hopefully help lead to a solution in the long term.
All right, Todd, thanks. Thanks for the input from everybody on this. We're aware of this, and we'll just encourage the harbor master and the police department to continue the enforcement efforts, and hopefully we get that under control. we do need to move on. We do have the harbor master report now that we need to get to. So, Jay, would you like to take that?
Yes, sir. Um, just wanted to let the committee know that we're although we're going into an off season and we're out of summer, that we're still busier than ever. This department generally never slows down. I know you guys are used to seeing myself and Harbor Master Taylor, but there's a lot of people that keep this ship running. Jonathan Costigan is our marina manager, and it's a very busy time of year for our transient slip program. You can get transient dockage in all of our marinas: Prince Cove, Barnstable Harbor, Gateway. As the boats start coming out of the water, we fill those spots with individuals who like to extend their boating season. So I just wanted to put the notice out there. Over the last month or so, we've had sharing my right screen here. We've had two vessels that have overturned on their moorings due to rain or bilge pump failures. We've been responding to multiple calls in that regard. We had one inside Prince Cove, other one outside of Katuitt near Oregon Beach. These calls take a lot of time. They take a lot of resources, contacting the owner, Coast Guard, making sure there's no hazmat concerns, getting a commercial tow service there, and making sure that the boat safely gets back to the marina that it's being hauled at. So I just want everyone who is going into this boating season, late as we get into the fall, to make sure that their batteries are charged, their bilge pumps are working, and that their boats are safe. We have responded to several fuel spills this year. Nothing major. We threw some contamination boom up in Katuitt because of the shellfish population. This was a very small spill caused by a fueling truck. We were able to mitigate the damage there and contain that. The other thing is, as you guys know, we have a very large GIS program. You see me during these meetings pulling up these satellite images with the moorings, and Harbor Master Taylor started the GIS program for MEA, and it's one of the vital tools that we have. During this process, when we're recording all these moorings, we get into compliance issues, people who haven't done change of vessels. This is how I find illegal moorings in the town that have been abandoned. The person didn't renew their permit. One cause or another, we always find issues when we're doing that. We do go out and impound these illegal moorings. This is our safety officer, Jim Hurley. Gentleman's 72 years old, and he's out here with all our younger guys having a great time, making sure that we can keep this mooring program healthy and offer to new positions on the wait list. I do want to thank my administrative assistants. We have Polly, who runs the meeting here. We also have a new administrative assistant, Mary Ann Burke. She's been helping me through a lot of the offerings this year. She's been very vital to keeping that wait list moving. We, as you know, we do our own maintenance here. This is us offloading these impounded moorings as we pull them out of various locations. We do all our water pumps, as I've stated before, oil changes. This is my assistant harbor master, Tyler McKay. He's welding the T-top on our pump out boat. And I just wanted to say, the last thing is, for compliance, we have a lot of issues in various locations with people who don't have their balls labeled correctly. I can't identify if this mooring is permitted or not because there's no name, there's no permanent mooring number. These are generally self-servicers, people who take care of their own moorings. So if you go to winter stake your mooring this year or pull it out of the water and it's not there, please contact the office so we can get it back to you. Harbor Master Taylor, do you have anything to add tonight?
Nope, nothing else to add. Thank you for your presentation here, and the pictures are great. That's just a little snippet of what we've done in the last month. So this is great, the updates and everything that we're doing. It keeps it real.
Okay, thank you. Well, it's been a long meeting, so if nobody else has anything else. We have nothing else on the agenda, so entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you. So we'll see everybody in October.